I just gotta remember not to pick my nose or scratch my ears or anything. Oh, I could turn the camera around, make it look at Steve.
That's true.
All right, we are live. We are the only people online, so I've unmuted us. We are recording. And I'm going to call the meeting to order, 6 p.m. Like to consider approval or adjustment to the agenda. I have one. Somewhere along the line, I missed vehicle pursuit and roadblocks.
Yeah, you just put the report. I noticed that today.
Yep. So I'm going to ask that we add it under 15A. Because it isn't warned, we cannot officially pass it, but we can tacitly approve it if we so choose to, and approve it officially at the next one.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Chief. I went through all the policies twice, and I apologize for missing that.
No worries.
So if somebody wants to make a motion to consider the agenda as approve the agenda as amended.
I will motion to approve the agenda. As amended.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consider approval of the previous meeting minutes. There are none from November, so we are approving the October meeting minutes.
We'll make a motion that we approve those as distributed because we didn't get a chance to read them.
I will motion to second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The minutes are approved. We do not have any guests online and no one here. So, and Counselor, yes, except for the dummy on the table, and yes, it's me. Counselor Wazazak is not here, so we will skip number 5 and we will go right to the chief's report.
All right. Been busy as usual. We had the folks that went through the hiring process. Out of 4, we have successfully hired 1. He made it all the way through the process. We offered him a final offer of employment. He will begin on January 23rd, and he will enter the academy on February 6th. Right on the heels of that, we had Sergeant Kirkpatrick put in his letter of retirement.
Okay.
So we had 2 vacancies, filled 1, we're going back to 2.
Okay.
He will be retiring effective December 24th.
Okay.
So I'm hoping by March, I will have a sergeant's promotional process completed and ready to fill that position for the sergeant's position.
Mhm.
Ultimately, if it is a corporal that takes the role of a sergeant, then I would have to either run a concurrent process or start a corporal's process.
How many years has the sergeant been here?
He has been here 32 years.
Wow.
I actually, I've known him, he and I were in the academy.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know what that?
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to be as usual. I'm asking questions. Is there a process that council does? Do you know of? I know that you're new to the job. Relatively, is there a process they go through to recognize somebody for 32 years of service?
I do not know.
Okay.
We're gonna recognize them. I can't, what we're gonna do, I can't have done by December 24th.
Mhm.
But as you'll see in one of the awards and recognition policies, I want to run that in January or February. I will bring him back for that.
Great.
So he'll be recognized there with.
And that's 32 years with Berry City. That's outstanding.
We had the 2 fall semester Norwich interns that just completed their internship with us. That was very successful. One of them, well, they both worked on a project for me, a community survey that I have to put out. They created the whole survey and we got another one that's in. And had identified mediums for us to put that out to reach the most amount of folks in the community.
Okay.
So that'll be coming out soon. We also had one of the interns wants to stay here. If he does stay in Vermont, he wants to apply here. He's only a junior at Norwich, so he's got 1 more year. My understanding is he's got an 8-year commitment with the Guard here in Vermont, so he will be around and it may give us a successful applicant.
Great.
That's awesome. Yeah,
So
that's-
there's also a spring semester internship. I've interviewed 7 more candidates for that. And out of that, I'll also choose 2.
2.
That's all I have.
Sandy?
Aye.
Okay, any questions for the chief? Other than the ones I had through Adam. Sandy, I will just tell you, we added, I missed one of the policies that I had sent out to you folks on the agenda. So we added 15A, the vehicle pursuit and roadblocks. So if there's nothing else for the chief, then we will jump right into it. Number 7 is to discuss and consider approval of the secondary employment request. This is a form for which officers can request to take a part-time position elsewhere, non-law enforcement. Assuming everybody's done their homework, does anybody have any questions on this particular document? Sandy, I don't want to rush you.
Oh, no, that's okay. I
Good.
don't have one.
Okay. Okay. If there's nothing on that particular item, Chief, do you have anything to add? Nope. So I guess I would entertain a motion to approve that document and forward it to the city manager.
Motion to approve. A second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor? I'm sorry, Steve, did I interrupt you?
No, it looks pretty straightforward.
Yep. Okay. No more discussion. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Next is the secondary, to discuss and consider approving the secondary employment policy. This is the policy related to the application that we just approved. This is a 6-page document. And I guess I would ask if anyone has anything, instead of even running by page, does anybody have anything on any of the pages?
Was your note, Bob, that had printed out under the definitions of employment, and it was added in the word, work occupation labor expression that results in any remuneration to the member? Is that number okay?
Yes. The definition now reads, any work, occupation, labor, or profession that results in remuneration by way of wages, allowance, or otherwise. to the members.
Okay, but the word any, is that something that was added?
It's just been reworded
Oh, okay.
to reflect. My point with that was that you could take product and trade, work for maple syrup, you know, if you're helping somebody bottle maple syrup or whatever, and that's still remuneration of some type,
Okay.
as opposed to being a cash or
Yeah, okay.
monetary.
Then on section 3, basic responsibility, we read this, it says members who own a business are responsible for hiring personnel, new officer members, shall disclose this information when application is made. So application, that is for the
That's-
secondary employment?
Yes, that's this. So there's basically two types. If you want to go be a cashier in a store,
Right.
or if you own a business, that's your secondary
Mhm.
employment. You have, you're responsible for hiring personnel. You have to put that on there because we have to make sure that everything is separated and they can't use this, their work here, do background checks or any of that. So
Okay. I mean, I guess my question is, does that need to be spelled out more beyond what it is, or?
no, it just says they need to disclose the information that they own a business and they're responsible for hiring personnel.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you give me an example of a time that it wouldn't be approved? Like that it would be conflict, or have you been in that situation?
When secondary employment wouldn't be
Yeah.
approved? Yeah, so if there's anything like you can't work as a bail bondsman
Mhm.
type employment, you can't have any employment that would contradict what we do here.
Mhm.
Security in a cannabis
Yes.
establishment, for instance.
Those sorts of things.
Yeah,
Bartender.
Is a bartender in that one allowed?
We would frown upon that, yes. The majority of your folks that do secondary employment work part-time for other police departments or EMS or,
Yeah.
you know, they stick to the
the
similar
field, so to
track,
speak. Yeah.
but you never know.
Yeah, no.
Any other questions on this particular policy?
Maybe one, it says members shall not engage will not engage in secondary employment which involves the operation or control of any taxi cab.
Yes.
The reason being,
The reason being that if you're operating a taxi cab and we have to get rides for people, we would push business their way and it can
gotcha,
cause a
gotcha.
lot of,
Okay.
a lot of problems.
So Uber or Lyft would not fall under that necessarily, because that wouldn't be the typical phone call that you'd make for that kind of thing. Okay. I assumed that when I read it, but I just wanted to be sure. Any other questions? You good, Steve?
Yep.
Okay. Then I guess I would entertain a motion to approve the secondary employment policy.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I would ask all those in favor to say aye.
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 Are there any nays? There are not. Unanimously approved. Number 9, discuss and consider approving the authorized firearms and weapons policy. This document is 9 pages as presented. And you know what, Chief, I printed clean copies, so I don't know which ones, I can't remember which ones it was that I presented to you for just the small spelling and grammatical errors. But those were all fixed, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So do we have any questions on any of these 9 pages?
Oh, there it is. Prohibited holsters. Requires the trigger fingers, section 4, letter C. Just to prevent accidental discharge of the weapon. That's really what that thing does.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So if you see my holster here, I can't put my finger
Right.
on the trigger.
For not to shoot something.
Yes, and they have to be, they have to have a level of security, like I have to actually push this button before I can pull my gun out.
That's to oppose, to prevent some manual from doing that for you.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So just one that click locks, just friction is not, it has to have a
It has
manual
to have
release.
some sort of release on it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to approve the authorized firearms and weapons policy.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion regarding this policy? Then I will call the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously approved. Next is our fleet operations policy. So number 10 is to discuss and consider approval of the fleet operations policy. This is another policy. It's 11 pages long as presented, and discusses all the classifications of vehicles, what they may have in them. Reporting and disposition. Did anybody have any questions on this policy?
I guess about the arrestees being transported in the front seat of the vehicle when, I mean, they're gonna be handcuffed anyway, I'm assuming. What prevents the guy from, or the person from,
Which section?
well, I'm looking here, say like under the canine patrol vehicle. The transport by vehicle with a safety barrier is not practical. Canine handler shall transport the prisoner in the front passenger seat. There was another,
What article are you in, Steve?
number 2, under the canine
Two
patrol.
A and then that's correct.
A in the last yeah. I think there was another place that said that as well, so similar wording. And just wondering what prevents the arrestee from
Yeah, they,
whacking the officer if they feel like.
you don't, unfortunately, you haven't seen the transport of detainees policy that I have yet.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
But they're,
Alright.
instead of simply handcuffing, they're gonna be secured with transport belts and everything, so they,
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Perfect. Okay.
but it is frowned upon to transport
Yeah,
folks in
I
the,
would think so,
in the
yeah.
front of the
Yeah.
vehicle. And generally speaking, the canine, usually the canine officer has somebody else to transport, but if you do
Gotcha.
go to a melee and you have
Right.
several people you're transporting,
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes you can't always
Okay.
accommodate.
Sounds good to me.
Any other questions?
Where was the? Let's see.
Maintenance starts on my page 4, section 4.
Oh, yeah, okay, so under 4D.
Four-
Maintenance and other non-emergency repairs, reschedule in advance, if any provision makes a deadline. And maybe it just says prior to that, who does that? Is that the supervisor or it takes care of that PM or?
So if you'll see up in B,
Okay.
up there, it refers to the deputy
Oh, there you
chief
go.
and their deficiencies that cannot be corrected or to the attention of the deputy chief. So there is a vehicle inspection report that they're gonna have to
Right.
do at the beginning of each shift. And they start documenting like, you know, the oil life by mileage. If you do it at 3,000 miles and it's getting close, they'll start documenting that. And we'll track that. The deputy chief will ensure that folks in charge of the fleet, usually the day shift sergeant, get that in.
To that point, how far down in the weeds do they get, chief? I mean, are they checking the brake lights and the turn signals and that kind of thing? And do they
Not-
have a check sheet or is it just there's,
They have, you have the check sheet, right? Or no?
don't believe we received it.
So here is the actual check sheet,
Okay,
which will show everything they have to check. And then there's also a monthly inspection sheet, which the sergeant has to go and see if they're doing their job. We put a lot of money into the cars and we don't want
Yeah.
folks just saying, oh, well, yeah, I saw the engine light on 3 weeks
Right.
ago and it's not my problem.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Oh, it's not just supposed to smoke like that?
Yeah,
everybody a moment. So that'll be part of the packet for the fleet operations, chief.
Yes,
That will, and the,
and the monthly.
do you have your own, does DPW take care of this? Somebody, do you have maintenance or do you? is it
Yes,
outside?
well, depending on what it is.
Yep.
Anything that's recall related, obviously goes to the dealer. Anything that's significant repair would go to the dealer, but
The day-to-day stuff.
the day-to-day, the tires and the oil, and the minor stuff, even down to brakes and shocks and struts and whatnot he can do. And on there is also like equipment that shows if you're missing equipment that.
Kristen, do you want to see these?
I'm sorry. You're okay. Thank you.
Remind us how many cars are in the fleet, Chief?
Including all the administrative and detective vehicles. Let's see, there's 7 marked and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unmarked, including mine, the deputy chief's, detectives vehicles.
So it doesn't. Any questions regarding the inspection documents that we've seen that will be part of this? Give that back to you, Chief. All right, any more questions on this policy as a whole? Then I guess I would entertain a motion to approve the fleet operations policy.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Any opposed? We have another unanimous approval of the fleet operations policy. Next is to discuss and possibly approve the performance appraisal system. This is, as I remember, a fairly lengthy one as well, as it should be. 8 pages by my count. The committee have any question on any of these items?
I remember you saying when you first came that evaluations haven't really been being done.
They've never done them.
Yeah, so what did we use for? This is something that was taken from like an department you were with, or is it something that you worked with the city manager to develop, or is it pretty,
This,
like common throughout?
they're fairly common.
Okay,
So this is part of this was from my old department,
mhm,
and part of it is from stuff that the union members, apparently there were some union members here that wanted the performance appraisal systems and never had them, and they supplied me with some of the stuff that they had brought up. So I combined the both and vetted them online with CALIA agencies to make sure that it fit the bill.
mhm.
There are some agencies that tie these into wages and step increases. This is not. You know, that does take some union bargaining to do, because if you have a performance appraisal that, you know, needs improvement and you say, well, you're not getting a raise this year, then, you know,
Yeah,
Is there, I didn't see, and maybe it'll be addressed somewhere else. I don't recall seeing here anything about physical fitness. Is that part of the CBA?
the physical fitness is part of the collective
It
bargaining
is, okay.
agreement, but under, it does say attendance, health, and preparedness for duty. Under number 2 in the actual performance evaluation, As well, when you saw, was the last time we met, we went over the performance monitoring system
Mhm.
that talked, there was a piece in there that talked about if there's a question about you being physically able to do your job, it's all tied together.
How does that work with the union? I guess that's my question. Say they get this performance evaluation and it's not good. Is the union, like, how does that work for the union? I'm not in the union, so I don't really understand.
Well, they have the ability, as you can see in the policy, they have the ability to contest it, if you
Yeah.
will, and write their thing. And through the collective bargaining agreement, if they so chose, they could file a grievance, but it
Right.
doesn't really fit in there because they didn't include that in our bargaining agreement. But the way it's designed, everything, and if you remember when we talked about the supervisory folders,
Right, all those.
everything is
Yeah.
designed to give them
The ability
steps to get to where they need to be without being disciplined.
Yeah.
And it's been working.
Good.
And this again is something that would go into that folder. All right,
No, this
no,
is actually, this goes to the personnel folder.
In the
This is
personnel
actually an annual performance evaluation, or if you're a probationary employee, you have your incremental ones.
Yeah.
When you're in field training, your daily observation reports are considered the performance appraisal because you're with an FTO for 14 weeks in that period. But this stays in the personnel.
It says supervisory positions have the free extra. Is that-
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so starting with number 13 on the form, supervisory
13,
responsibilities
okay,
only
yes,
have
yeah.
13, 14, and
Okay.
15.
Yeah.
any other questions, union members? Are we comfortable trying to move this forward with all the questions that we've had? Then I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? I would move the question to approve the performance appraisal system by a vote of aye for approval.
Aye.
Aye. So again, it is unanimously approved. Next is another personnel item. It's awards and recognition. So we will discuss and consider approving the awards and recognition. This would be a procedure, Chief, right? Not a policy.
Well, they're all policies in effect.
Okay, yes, yep,
They're just different classifications.
right.
Administrative procedure, personnel procedure, traffic procedure.
They're all, but they all fall under policy.
Yes.
Yep, thank you. Okay. Committee members. Do you have anything? read this just a little while ago, Chief, so pardon me. I read it back 2 or 3 weeks ago when I sent you my little changes. So trying to remember, is there, for these are internal only? So I guess my question for Officer of the Year, for instance, is that something that you would take nominations from the public for, or is this generated within the department? And if so,
It's generated within the department, but it could, if there was something that came in from the public,
Mhm.
it could be included in that, but generally speaking, it
It would
comes
be.
from the committee based on the nominations for Officer of the Year and Employee of the Year if you're a civilian.
and most of these are going to be done once a year?
Yes, it will be done at the beginning of the year for the year prior.
And so is it your intention to try to do that this year, or is you got, okay,
In 23 for
Yeah,
the year.
for 22? Excellent. I would ask that the committee be apprised of that so that we may be able to, if it's something public that we might be able to
Absolutely.
attend or be,
I
take
plan
part
on,
in.
I plan on doing it probably like at Alumni Hall.
Mhm.
The officers allowed to have their family come and, anybody else as well.
Great.
Council members, faculty members.
I think this is great. This was one I was very happy to see in here. I'm so happy to see them all, Chief, but this was one that
Long
is
overdue.
Committee members? No other questions? Then I guess I would look for a motion to approve the awards and recognition procedure.
So moved. I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Another unanimous approval. The next item is the performance evaluation form. Or I guess that's what it would be, Chief.
Yeah, that went with the performance appraisal system.
Oh, that did?
Yep, that was the form. that we were
Sorry, I didn't
talking
have them all. My
It's all right.
bad.
about. No worries. There's that and then
Just
the
ask a
supplement.
question on this that I have that I didn't write down. So do the staff also get to do it with a self-evaluation, or is this primarily done by the supervisor?
They get to do a self-evaluation and
The
that's,
same.
and they talk about their goals as well. That's where
Yeah.
that supplement comes in with the goal
Right.
sheet.
Yeah, okay, that was,
So that would be the next item then, right? Discuss and consider approving the performance and evaluation supplement, or would you consider, I thought that was separate. When-
It goes with the performance appraisal.
It does, okay.
So they would discuss, what goals they want to see for the individual based on their evaluation.
Okay.
And what they can improve.
So I guess because of the way I wrote the agenda, Secretary, we just note that the supplement was part of that previous approval. I thought it was going to be separate, Chief. Apologize. It would move us on to discussing and consider approving the vehicle pursuit report.
Do you want to discuss the policy first, even though you can't formally approve it?
We can. So we will flip flop 15A and 15 and 15A. So we will do vehicle pursuits and roadblocks.
Can someone get fined for not pulling over when an emergency vehicle is coming through?
Yes. Failure to yield to emergency vehicles.
What's that?
It's called failure to yield to emergency
Okay.
vehicles. It's in
I
statute.
just want to make sure, because that irritates the hell out of me when people don't go. It's like,
Yep.
you know, oh,
Mhm.
Usually is what happens unless the ambulance or fire truck is calling in, you know, a plate that the person's not yielding, because if an officer's going to an emergency, they're heading to the emergency, and if the person's not yielding, they're not gonna
right.
stop, they're
Right.
gonna continue to go, even
To
though
the
they're,
emergency,
you know,
right.
blowing their horn, and they could always mail a ticket afterwards, but then they have to prove who the operator was.
Mhm.
Anybody have any questions on this? Under risk factors, letter B, I guess technically it's the third bullet point, the indented. Says officers are aware that additional traffic violations may result. They must reassess the risk of changing radio frequencies. Can you just clarify
Where are we
that?
here?
Page 5,
Okay, risk factors.
under when to abandon pursuit, 6, letter B,
Yes.
and then medium risk down at the bottom.
Yeah, so if you're going, for instance, if you're changing a radio frequency, if you're on Howard channel and you go to channel 2, you have to assess if dispatch can hear you and those types of things. So it all has to be, everybody kind of has to know what's going on. So those are the things that you have to do, as well as changing jurisdictions.
So different channels within. So you'll have stronger signal on some channels than you will on the difference in the frequency. Is that
That as
that
well
strong?
as-
Yeah.
That as well as making sure the right folks are monitoring it as well.
Mhm. Okay.
For instance, too, if we're headed into Berry Town is dispatched on a different frequency through Lamoille.
Yeah.
So that all has to come into play.
Yep. So in under definitions of this discontinued pursuit. I just was trying to, I wrote down example, then I scratched it out, then I put a question mark. I guess my question is, so whether they're directed by a supervisor or whether they make the choice that the best option at that time is to discontinue pursuit. I was trying to think if there would be a non-emergent reason. I understand high speed going into another jurisdiction and maybe not getting approval, although I don't think that would necessarily happen in Central Vermont. But would there be a non-emergent discontinue of pursuit?
So basically, when you have to assess the risk factors, is that your question about?
I was trying to think if there was any other reason why they might, other than risk to people around them going into another jurisdiction. Is there any other reason? And
Well, for instance, you're not gonna just continually like chase somebody for 8 hours.
Yeah.
You know, and it's designed so that there are parameters in there to allow various things for higher degree offenses or when you actually have to stop somebody. But in theory, if you have a minor traffic violation and the person fails to stop, and you've identified who the operator is, then you can discontinue, because you're essentially, if I were just chasing you for a taillight out, there's no crime per se, and I see it was you, I can always circle back and get you later as opposed to creating risks. So that would be a
Yeah,
non-emergent
Yeah.
Perfect.
abandon of pursuit.
thank you. Thank you. Committee members, any other questions on vehicle pursuits and roadblocks? Then I would entertain a motion to approve the vehicle pursuits and roadblocks policy.
My second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So we have another unanimous.
Oh. It says Packard in here.
Yeah, he already,
Okay,
Yep.
you got that.
That was, yeah, that was one of the ones, the things that I sent him.
Ahead.
Thank you. So now we will look at the vehicle pursuit report. Did anybody have any questions on the vehicle pursuit report? One thing I didn't see. Watch, you're gonna sneak in on the end, because every once in a while I'll ask a question and then I feel stupid, which is not uncommon for me. I see it talks about the time pursuit started, but I don't see a time that the pursuit ended. So in time in miles, and it says time pursuit started, does it matter if does it need an end time?
not necessarily, no.
Okay.
It's just the actual time that it started. So
Okay. So that's what the
Located in
time in the
the-
miles is, would be an hour
Yeah.
and 23 minutes, and it started at 1500, okay. Any other questions? And this looks, so this gets reviewed twice, both by the supervisor on duty and then again by the deputy chief.
yes, and then he types up an administrative review to make sure that it either did or did not conform to policy, and gives it to me.
Mhm.
And then at the end of the year, we do a pursuit analysis. So at the January meeting, if we have a January meeting, you're gonna get to see all the fun analyses. Because I've got this almost completed, the use of force one. I haven't started, the pursuit one's done, all the analyses that we do per policy. They get published on the website, but you'll get to see all those as well. So truth be told, when I got here, we had a pursuit in June. that Did not conform to policy, the existing policy. And I discovered that there was a major policy failure in the existing policy that had said, it's a decent policy that they had. But it says, click here for the pursuit report. There was no pursuit report. And I asked everybody high and low, and they said, no, we don't have one. And so I found that out, but it also, the pursuit should have been ended and it wasn't.
Yeah.
So we discussed it. And their policy also, when I got here, it said you will train annually on the policy, and they hadn't trained in years on it. So we took care of that.
Good. Good. Any other questions? So I'm sorry, have I called the question? Asked for a, where are we at? Do I need a motion?
Policy.
Not on the pursuit report. Okay, so I'm looking to entertain a motion for approval of the vehicle pursuit report. We have a motion in a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those to approve, say aye. Any opposed? Or vehicle pursuit report is passed unanimously. Next up is the field training program. It's the only one I didn't print.
I don't think, I was just,
I don't
I
have
don't
that
think
one
I
either.
had that.
I just have the field training evaluation
Yeah,
program.
that's all I have too.
You didn't get the field training program?
No, that's what I was just looking at, because I was like, I remember. finding this one.
Number 306.
306 is the,
306,
yeah.
Is there another one? Because
That-
it says
Field
field
training
training
evaluation.
evaluation.
That is.
That's this one.
Is it the same
Then
thing?
it says field
Okay, so it's
training
just on here
program.
twice.
I thought there was a field training program as well, chief. No,
It's the policy.
that is 306 is, okay. So then we shall strike number, oh, you know what? You can see that I realized what I did, and
Oh, you're.
they're both 16. Yep.
So we're gonna strike the first one.
Strike the first
Yeah.
16. Man, this agenda's a mess. I'm hoping that we're not gonna have 2 months worth of policies that I have to try to dig up and make sure that they all get on the agenda. Okay, so the field training evaluation program. Number 306. I had a question about the standard tasks checklist form FTEP2, which the chief answered.
Yes, so all the forms that are discussed in this program are provided by the academy, because they're the ones that regulate the field training program. So they have daily observation reports, they're called DORs. They have a spreadsheet where you record the DORs. They have say there's a critical incident and we have to intervene. They have a critical incident report form. They have all the forms relative to this program. They're all standardized.
Is there anything else on the field training evaluation program? This is also a 7-page policy. And is the field training officer book, is that something that we will look at, or is that also, is that department or is that state?
That's department. So basically you get they call it a work book,
Mhm.
well, but it's your FTO book. Everything has to be maintained in there and get signed off. So you have various things that they can refer to if they need to.
Okay. Basically, it's a how-to manual. to some extent.
In theory, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, that's where they're supposed to keep all their evals through daily observations.
Mhm. Anything else under field training evaluation program? The real number 16. There's no other questions, then I would look for a motion.
Motion to approve.
I will second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So, and this is probably a stupid question, that's why I hesitated asking that.
I've asked a pile of them, so.
The off-duty conduct for probationary officers, refresh my memory, is it because they're not really, because they haven't really gone through all the training, they're not really officers, because I'm thinking, okay, so I'm in a room with somebody that I know is training to be a police officer or whatever, you know, and there's like a bad situation, I have to wait for him to call somebody, and that
Wh-
sounds very.
Which one are you referring to? On the policy?
D, it's on page 5. Wait a second, 5D, off-duty conduct for probationary officers. So they have to call.
Right,
And
so,
the
so
like
the
manager.
reason, if they're off duty, the reason for that being is, you have, in order to get clearance by the state to be recognized as a solo level 3 certified officer, you have to complete all these things. So if you're in training and you're still learning, you're
Right.
prone to make some
Make
errors.
mistakes.
So
Okay.
they're not supposed to engage in any,
Right,
you know, obviously if something goes haywire and there's,
right,
you know, a school shooting or
yeah,
something like that,
yeah,
you know, by all means, but for the most part, they're not supposed to intervene in routine stuff.
Only thing that I noticed on that one chief, is that your title is not centered on your name like it is on all the others, if that makes a difference
Which one?
on the top of it. The chief is off here, on all the others, it's centered. Okay,
Must be the way it printed out.
must be.
I noticed you had one too where it was cut.
Mhm. Okay. So that was our, any other further discussion? And I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the field training evaluation program, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There are no opposition. Again, unanimously approved. Next is our discussion considering to approve the emergency driving procedure. Does anybody have any questions on this policy? Under medical transports, item number 3, letter A. Emergency medical transports will be accepted only in bona fide emergency medical situations.
Mhm.
Does that mean medical transport in a police vehicle? Okay. Not, does there come a time when emergency medical service might ask for a police escort?
They don't necessarily ask for an escort. They do. And I not had it happen here. I frequently have had it happen where I used to work. If they have a major life and death situation where they're trying to get somebody to the hospital, they will ask for assistance clearing intersections, but not specifically an escort. They'll
Yeah.
just say, like, if they're heading up, they'll
Coming your
notify
way.
Berlin, we're
Right.
coming your way, please block the intersection.
Yeah.
So they do that from time to time.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
I don't know what- It just brings back when I was pregnant and I had to deliver in Burlington. I thought I was pregnancy and I was in labor, and then all of a sudden I was like ready to have a baby, and my husband was going way too fast on the highway, and he got stopped by the state police. And he was like, I'm like, you need to stop. That is the last. So he stopped and he's like yelling out the window, and so they asked for him to the hospital.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was, yeah.
Mhm.
Rule breaker, you.
Mhm.
That's a familiar ring to me. No, my wife was our first daughter. She was, I think her package was like 4 or 5 minutes apart. And we got plenty of time. Also, they were bang down to
Yeah.
2 minutes. So we lived in
Yeah.
Northfield. And so I went up Earhart Hill, 60 miles an hour, past the dump truck on a corner, because she's like pushing the ceiling, like, grab my arm, got to the hospital, roared in the parking lot, jumped out, the nurse was coming out. I said, you need to get her in now. Her water just
Yeah.
broke. Boom. And she had a baby like 10 minutes later. Wow. She's like,
Yeah, no, he left the car running,
Yeah.
doors open,
Yeah.
everything. Came in with me. Yeah, he was like, do you think you wanna like shut the doors in your car and park it? He's a nice guy. He didn't get in trouble, thank goodness.
All right. Emergency driving. I'll look for a motion to approve unless there's more discussion.
wait,
Here a second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. So all those in favor, say aye.
hey,
Aye. We have a unanimous approval of the emergency driving procedure. And Kristen, you made note that vehicle pursuit and roadblocks was unanimously approved, but it's not going to be, I can't officially move it forward until we officially approve it because it was not agenda item. So that will be on our next agenda.
And that
As,
one was which one?
as a warned item. We had it as 15A. It ended up being 15.
Yeah.
That's vehicle pursuit and roadblocks. I am going to send it to the city manager with a note that says it's been approved, but because it wasn't warned, that way we'll have it. We'll approve it at the next meeting and be used. Couple of things before we move on. And I guess they can fall under miscellaneous realistically. One is, Chief, we got through 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. I had one listed twice, so still 12 policies tonight, and that is due in great part to the quality of your presentation.
They look really good.
The layout is very easy to read, very easy to the right, and the way they are written is, you know, there's, as you hear from us, there's law enforcement items that we don't understand, that we question because we don't know what they mean. But the majority of it is written in such a way that a layperson such as myself can understand what the intent is. And with the new policy program that you've got, they're very consistent. I don't know how many pages were there. There's a lot of pages there, and there were, what, 3 maybe grammatical things that I sent to you. So outstanding work for you and your team
Thank
in
you.
presenting them. Yeah. And then secondarily, to you folks for doing your homework and coming prepared. It makes a huge difference in being able to get through this many procedures and policies in an hour. So thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you for the reminders.
Yeah.
Yep. Is there anything else under miscellaneous?
Quick shout out to Corporal Flurry. Did everybody see the Christmas kids?
Yes.
The total that they raised. So it ended up being $9,101.71.
Yep.
And I actually saw us today on National Life Today. They donated another $1,000.
Oh,
in
cool.
Toys and gifts. I don't know if it was cash, but it was toys and gifts. So it's over $10,000.
That's great. Well done.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
We will be delivering on the 21st.
Great.
I'm told that Santa Claus will come.
Good. He's a busy guy, that Santa. He was at
He is.
Nelson's this week.
I kept them busy.
With your long list.
Long list.
We did the breakfast for Santa at
Yeah.
the Odd, and that was well attended.
Mhm. Anything else for miscellaneous? I would offer this time as for public comment, but as there's no public watching at this time or in attendance, I guess, much as I am in disbelief that we got through all of this,
I'm amazed. I figured it would be 8:30.
so did I. Yeah.
Great city council.
No, this is, nope, nope, it's good work, folks. Thank you. So I guess I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anyone that wants to discuss the motion to adjourn? And I would ask for an aye for all those who are in favor.
Aye.
We have adjourned at 7:04 PM. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Everybody have a good one.
Thank you very
Merry
much.
Christmas.
Wife's looking forward to coming down from your establishment tomorrow night.
Yes,
Usually.
yes, it is. Do I want to stop recording? Yes, I do.
Yeah, before he answers.